So we're going to start with the flour. Basically this is plain flour, but you can use wholemeal flour, you could use chickpea flour, you can use self-raising flour. We're actually using just plain flour and adding a raising agent because we don't have any self-raising flour. That's not a problem. As a general rule, I say for every 150 grams of plain flour you want 1 teaspoon of baking powder. That will substitute for self-raising. So that's a good kind of rule of thumb to use. So to this, we're gonna add the next secret ingredient, which is yoghurt. Now, yoghurt transforms the flatbreads. If you just mixed it with water, they'd be great, but yoghurt adds a bit of tanginess. It makes them much more kind of like pillowy when you break them apart, and you get a really nice soft pliable dough. So this is some plain like fromage frais, kind of cow curd. You could use Greek yogurt, you could use plain yogurt, natural yogurt, anything, you know, that isn't flavoured basically, into there. So the quantity of that is 140 to 160 grams of flour. Depending on the type of yogurt you use, some will be thinner than others, so you might want to add more flour, but it's fine. You can see the texture of the dough and just edit it as you need. So add that straight in.
So pretty much the same quantity of flour than
exactly.
Yogurt.
So basically, it'll always be a slightly more flour, but you can keep adding and taking away. Basically, no, you can't take away, but you can keep adding as you think you need. So then to this, as I said before, we haven't got self-raising flour, so I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. Then I'm going to add a pinch of sugar. It might sound weird, but it really like kind of adds the flavour of it. So it enhances, just like salt enhances it, it kind of just adds the flavour of the dough. It won't taste sweet. And then we've got a teaspoon of sugar, salt in there as well. So I'm going to add all this in as well. And then all we need to simply do then is mix this. And as we start in a bowl because it's neater, otherwise you get flour everywhere. Oh, you can also add anything you want to this dough. I'm making plain ones because you can show kind of like the basic formula, but you can add seeds, you can add herbs, you can make garlic naan, add some crushed garlic into the dough, add some lemon zest, anything you want. So it's really versatile depending on the dish you're cooking. So now we're getting to a stage where it's a bit more like big chunks, and then it will go into kind of more of an elaborate dough. And you want to kind of squeeze it up so that it kind of forms one big ball. Now I'm getting to the stage where it's basically one big ball. I'm going to actually roll it out onto the surface. So start to knead it and then pick up any bits of like the crumbly dough that haven't stuck yet as you go. Cool, so as you can see now it's it's not needing any more flour. So you want to be careful, don't add loads and loads of flour because it'll change the texture. Only add flour if it starts to stick. So as I roll now, it's starting to basically turn softer, and what we want is a nice soft pillowy dough. So I'd say kneading is probably a couple of minutes. It's not like a crazy like bread dough with yeast in it where you want to keep like rolling. You basically just want to make it smooth. It's a really nice kind of smooth dough. I've added all the flour I need to add, and it's nice to work with as well. Look, if I push down, it starts to bounce back.
That's amazing.
So that's a really good dough.
Yeah.
So now I've realised I've forgotten my rolling pin, so I'm going to do that.
We can observe the dough in the meantime. Look at this beauty.
So another thing that's good to know is that you don't need a rolling pin either.
Okay.
So I'm going to show a few techniques about how to do it without a rolling pin.
Okay.
So the first one, basically, into 4 kind of the same size chunks. I wouldn't bother weighing them unless you've got really fussy flatmates or whatever. You want to know they've got exactly the same ones. So I'll do one with the rolling pin, and I want to get it into like a vague kind of like flatbread circle, but a loose circle, like an oval. And I'm not the best at this, but the technique that you should use is you roll and then go 90 degrees, roll 90 degrees.
Really nice, so it becomes really nice and flat.
So nice and flat, and then you're trying to keep it into like kind of a circular shape.
Okay.
it's not essential. It depends what you're doing with it. Like if you want to make like a kind of tortilla wrap, like something that you can actually use to fill, you want it to be a nice circle. But if we're just going to serve it like, so that's the thickness I've got at the moment, and it's actually like, oh, I don't know, I'd say like
1 minute.
couple of millimeters, maybe 1 millimeter. It's quite thin. That is going to be kind of more, it'll puff up for sure.
Okay.
So it will actually go to about double.
Okay.
So you're going to bear that in mind when you're making your flatbread. How
So again, to give a few more ideas, you can put on the top like some fermented vegetables, some hummus. You can put any kind of roasted veg that you have left in your fridge as well.
So there you go. That's kind of like a vague oval shape.
Yeah.
Also something that's good. A good tip is to keep them underneath a bit of kitchen roll or kitchen roll or tea towel.
Okay.
So that they don't dry out while you're waiting. So you can keep going. And then I'm going to leave those two. We'll just cook these two.
Yes, it's perfect.
And then, cool. So over to actually cooking them.
Yes.
They're ready to cook straight away. The dough doesn't need to be rested necessarily. There's no yeast in it. It's all got raising agent, so that's okay. And I'm not going to use. I'm going to dry fry them. I'm not going to use any oil because they don't need it.
Okay.
Like what we're going to have, like what I'm going to actually show as a suggestion for eating them is some olive oil and some dukkha.
Okay.
Dukkha is like a spice blend that you can make really easily. So we've made this already ourselves, but basically the good thing about it is that it's any like spices you've got at home, any nuts,
Okay.
chop them up or put them in a pestle and mortar, put them in a food processor just until they're like coarse.
Okay.
Toast them, then let them cool and mix in a little bit of salt. You got it, and it's really delicious. It's kind of like a Middle Eastern Egyptian kind of way of eating flatbread. So that's what I'm going to show with some good olive oil.
Yes, I mean we tasted it and it's absolutely delicious. Like it had so much flavor, and the olive oil is amazing as well.
And also it's good because everyone's got leftover seeds. Like there might be some seeds that you've bought that you kind of like, I don't know, you don't get to the bottom of it in time. It's a really nice thing to add. It will last forever, and you can put it with anything. So I'm using a frying pan. You can use a griddle pan. It's actually really great with a griddle pan, but we don't have one here, so I'm going to show with a frying pan because most people have got a frying pan. And I'm going to heat it so it's not, like for this one, it's a bit thinner. So I don't want it to be cooked too long.
Okay.
I'm going to cook it on a medium heat for about a minute or so each side.
Okay.
So now that's getting nice and hot. And basically, with a griddle pan, you want it to be nice. You get the nice kind of lines in it, and it will cook in exactly the same way as a frying pan. You can also oven bake them if you're doing a pizza, like Jamie Oliver did. You would like line the frying pan. You'd start to cook the dough as you put the toppings on.
Oh.
And as soon as you've got a crispy base, you put the whole thing straight in the oven.
Delicious.
So you can do either. And then if you want to come over and look now, so already we get on to give it
yes.
So I'm going to turn the heat down because we basically want it to be nice and kind of, they will start to firm up after they come out.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that they're kind of like almost a little bit under in the middle.
Okay.
Before you take them out because they will continue to cook of the heat coming out from the inside.
So it's really quick actually.
So quick.
So we can do a big batch of the dough and then just cook them when we need. We freeze them directly, cook them when we need.
So that's as much colour as I want on there.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep using my finger, and you can see when it is spongy and bouncing back, it means it's cooked.
Okay.
I'm touching the edge here, and it's still giving me a bit of like, it's still kind of squashing down. So you know that in the inside it's not cooked properly, it's still kind of like a dough. So I'd say, how long would you say the first half was? Like 30 seconds, 45?
Yeah. Not more than a minute. It's really quick. It's perfect for hungry children.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Exactly. So I'm going to say that's done because it's not giving me any more resistance back. It's nice and fluffy, and it will carry on cooking as well. So you want it a little bit less than you would normally.
Okay.
So I'm going to put this now in here. Same method, keeping it hot and stopping it from drying out. And then I'm going to go in with the thicker one. So this one I'm turning the heat down slightly. It's a bit thicker. So we want to make sure that it's cooked in the inside without being burnt.
Okay.
So let's put that on like...
Do we have to put olive oil in the pan or in the fridge?
No, so for these I wouldn't. They start to go a bit like a do you know like a paratha or something like when you've got ghee and stuff? It's a different thing. They go a bit more when you chew them, they're more chewy.
Okay.
Especially when they're like this. Because with the paratha, you would like roll the dough and then you roll it back up into a ball, then flatten it, and there's air.
Okay.
But for these, I think they're a bit heavy when you fry them in oil.
Okay.
So I would say dry fry them and then add whatever kind of things you want on top. So it's actually fairly healthy.
It is really
Good
healthy.
yogurt, like we got a really nice like unbleached white flour. You can use wholemeal flour as well. And a pinch of salt, a little bit of sugar, but only a little pinch. You can use honey too. You can use honey in it.
Delicious.
So there we go.
Oh, beautiful.
So I'm going to start cooking that on the other side now. The more brown you get them, the more likely they will get. Do you know when you like cook a pita bread and you cook it a bit too much and it snaps?
Yes.
They'll start to do that. So you want to really make sure that they stay just cooked.
Okay.
But you can always try with a little bit of dough. Take a little bit, flatten it, cook it, see how it looks, see how long you took, and then do that. Like whenever we do anything in the kitchen, you use a little bit of something, see how it goes, and then continue.
Yes.
Otherwise, like you could end up doing like the whole batch.
And it's good for tasting as well. Like we love tasting things when cooking, so
Definitely.
it's really good to have a little bit.
What would be really nice in these as well is some like smoked sea salt.
Oh,
If you've got
delicious.
smoked sea salt, should have put that in. But yeah, the opportunity to put things in is endless.
Some kind of turmeric maybe
It
for
would be lovely.
the color and the
Oh,
taste.
definitely. So these need a little bit longer. It's still kind of giving me like it's not bouncing back as much as I want.
It looks really good.
Yeah, they look very like rustic, but you know, authentic. You can
Exactly.
easily, if you like really want them to be proper circles as well, it's a bit cheap, but you can actually cut around a plate so that they're perfect.
Yeah.
If you want to make like a wrap, they're quite nice to do that.
Yes.
But I've been to in India. We did like I watched them making like we stayed with the family and they made homemade chapatis every night, like they did it with every meal. But there was this tiny rolling pin. It was only about this big, and the rotis were completely perfect circles.
That's
And
amazing.
it's like
How do
just
you
from
do
doing
that?
that like every day, and they were wicked. I've seen like you know like tacos as well, taco shells. Like it's just a skill I haven't learned yet. I need to make a lot more of these. Anyway, I think we're done there now. So it's actually being nice and spongy, which is good.
Really good.
So that's all done. I'm going to slice them up and we're there.
That's amazing. It
Yeah.
was so quick,
Super
quick,
quick.
delicious recipe, very healthy as well, and so versatile. We can reuse that with everything.
So there's the inside. I don't know if you can see properly.
Beautiful.
But it's nice and spongy. You can see it's light.
Yes.
And like as you tear them up, like they're really soft.
Oh,
Which
delicious.
is just what you want.
Yeah.
So we're going to do these in kind of like rough slices.
Dipped into olive oil, salt.
Amazing.
Whew. And you can really impress your guests when we are out of quarantine, you know, with
Yeah.
a very quick and nice recipe.
Right. Put this to one side. So this is the finished dish.
It looks
So
amazing.
we've got the homemade flatbreads, we've got some olive oil, and then, so this is how you normally eat it. Dip it into this, and then I've already seasoned the dukkha, and I've also seasoned the flatbreads, so you don't need any salt or anything. And yeah, eat it like this as a snack.
It looks
I'm gonna
amazing.
wash my hands.
Oh. Delicious. Thank you so much, Beth. Any
you.
questions, let us know. And we will put the recipe on our website.
Happy cooking!
Bye bye.